here. And so, hello, first of all, and thank you so much for joining us. If you've already joined, and I'm Viola Jackson. I am a transformational coach, the founder of Transformational Coaching for Millennial Leaders Facebook group, and Viola Jackson International LLC. And so thank you so much for joining us. I have a really super special guest this evening for you guys that I'm so excited to share with you in just a moment. But I want to give people a few minutes to hop on. And so I see that there are 3 people in here with me. That's good news because that means I'm not alone. And what I would love to know, first of all, let me just tell you, like, coaching, one of the wonderful things about coaching, we're going to talk a lot about coaching tonight, but one of the fun things about coaching is coaches can help you dream bigger and think bigger. So while we're waiting for people to jump on, I would love to know if you could go anywhere on the planet right now, all expenses paid, what one place would you choose? And put that in the chat box for me while we're giving people a few minutes to jump on. Thank you. All right. And I want to be able to see your comments. Jump on. I see that there's people. Oh, there's Tanya. Hi, Tanya. Thank you. You are so awesome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for letting me know that I'm live. That means a lot. That's the first step. Okay. So Tanya, where would you go if I paid your trip and you could go anywhere in the world? Awesome. Wow, it's even transcribing everything I'm saying. That's pretty cool too. Okay. So yeah, so tonight we are going live with a really, really special guest, and I'm so, so excited. But let me just welcome everybody to Transformational Coaching for Millennial Leaders. And let me just tell you who I am again. I'm Viola Jackson. I live in North Miami, Florida. This is not me at the ocean, but it could be like tomorrow morning if I wanted it to be. So that's pretty exciting. I'm a single mom of 2 adult sons. One lives in New York City. The other is living in the Dominican Republic. And I just launched Transformational Coaching for Millennial Leaders 2 months ago, the Facebook group. And so if you are already a member, I want to welcome you again and just thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your support in the Day of Small Beginnings. And if you haven't already joined Transformational Coaching for Millennial Leaders, I want to invite you. This is your personal invitation from me to join us in our group. And if you have a desire to change the world, and I know that you do, we are dozens of change agents in this group that have that desire as well. And so it's really awesome to just be with like-minded thinkers, thought leaders, world changers, and movers and shakers, right? And we kind of just can motivate each other and help each other learn and grow and step into everything that we created to be. So please accept this as my personal invitation. You can join us at www.facebook.com/groups/millennials lead. And I'll say that one more time, www.facebook.com/groups/millennials lead to join our Facebook group. And the purpose of Transformational Coaching for Millennial Leaders is to help you get traction, which means changing who you are to take action, to step into all you're created to be and do. And I just want to put this plug in. Your life journey is not meant to be traveled alone. So we welcome you in this group, and we would love to have you and travel with you. Okay, so I'm super excited, like I said, because Drew Taylor happens to be a millennial leader that's truly making an impact and a difference in the world right now. And he's going to share with us his story, because that wasn't always the case. He's living a lifestyle of freedom, time freedom, financial freedom now, but he's going to share his transformation with us. And I think you're going to be super inspired. So before I bring him on, just 3 quick things. Number 1, if you are a leader and you would like to join TCML, type leader in the comments, and I'm going to make sure that I follow up with you and make sure that you have the link and you can find us. Number 2, if you are in a time of transformation or transition in your life right now and you're interested in coaching, type coach. So leader, coach, okay? And the third thing, last thing is, whoever types coach, you're going to get a free resource. It's called How to Recognize the Best Coach for You, How to Safeguard Against the Self-Identified and the Unqualified Coach. Really important in this day and age, because there are a lot of people out there that put coach on the front of their name and set up a signpost and buyer beware. So these are my top 10 qualities to look for in a coach, so that as you are doing your due diligence and searching for a coach, you'll have an idea of really what you're looking for. Okay, so who is this unmasked man, Drew Taylor? I want to invite him on now. I want to let you know that he is the owner and founder at Digital Nomad University, the owner and CFO at Young, Wealthy, Free, and the co-founder of Synaptic Media. That's on a professional level, but I also want to tell you a little bit more on a personal note, how I met Drew. Wonderful story. We met in Phoenix, Arizona at a coaching conference, a coaching training rather. And my very first introduction to this amazing young man was came out of my cry for help. And I put in the group chat, can anybody give me a ride? And I don't know, I think I was trying to get to the venue. And this young man was the first person to respond. And there is really something to be said for first responders in any situation. There's something about their nature, their character, their personality that just, it's magnetic and it just draws you to them, right? And but he didn't stop there. Then his display of generosity towards me throughout the whole entire time we were in Phoenix was just extra. It was just like above and beyond. And I was like, wow, this man is like super special. And even as when he picked me up and we were riding together, it was just, there was such this fluidity, right? Like I felt like I'd known him for a really long time and he just was adding value to my life. But there's one other thing I want to say about Drew. I know I could say so much, but Drew, you were so comfortable with our diversity. Like you know, because you can feel a person's energy, you can feel their vibe, right? And yep. You were just like so at peace with who I was, because I'm like a force to be reckoned with, right? So you were just so at peace with me, not just racially, not just culturally, not just ethnically, but also in our age difference. Like it wasn't even there wasn't anything amiss there. And you were just this kind of person that I could tell right then and there, you are primed to be a catalyst of change, because to me, that's the kind of person it takes that has that, you know, we all have our biases. We're still human, right? But to have that, just that fluidity about you just really struck me in that moment. And it hasn't changed since then. It's like you're the same then that you are now that you were then. And so I'm going to let Drew talk now. I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about who he is and anything you want to share with us about yourself. But I just have to say, Drew, I really believe that that's like your secret sauce to success, is just the way that the very same way that you treated me that first day that I met you. I think you treat everybody that way. And I think that's what makes you so hyper successful. So, okay, with that, I'm going to stop talking and let you talk.
Well, thank you so much, Viola. Super excited to be here. Just feel very blessed to just be thought of, to just speak to your audience and just pour into some of these millennial leaders. I was very, very thankful, that fateful day a couple, almost 2 years ago now, maybe a little over 2 years, actually. Time's been flying, but yeah, just getting to meet you, getting to feel your energy, just to be around another godly woman who actually cares, about other people, especially these up and coming leaders. It's so important. And so God obviously knew what he was doing, when he set up that divine appointment. And there was no other place I'd rather be. It was great to meet you, and you're really obviously the first one that I met up with and got close to in our coaching class. And so I'm just thankful for that opportunity. And so yeah, I guess just kind of a little bit about me. My name is Drew Taylor, 33 years old, born and raised Kansas boy. And so I think that's maybe how we connected a little bit too, is, we just felt that, KC heart, deep down. And that's where we were able to really meet eye to eye. But I will say this too, is, I really appreciated what you said about, just treating you a particular way. That was powerful for me, simply because when I grew up, as I was growing up as a child, my mom would always brag about my dad. He worked at a country club growing up. And honestly, our family, we were not country club people, but my dad is very service-based, just very loving. But the one thing my mom always said about my dad growing up that it just stuck in my head, and that I still remember today, is that no matter who you were, whether you were the multimillionaire who owned several businesses out playing on the golf course, or whether you were, the maintenance guy taking out trash, my mom would always say that my dad would always treat everybody, no matter who they were, the exact same way. And that's what I've just aspired to be growing up. And, obviously everybody is a child of God. And so I think they should be treated as such.
Well, you exemplify that in every way, Drew, and I'm just honored and thankful for our connection and for our relationship. And I'm really super excited to share you tonight with our audience. And you guys are just really in for a treat. At the end, I'm going to have Drew let you know how you can contact him. He is, aside from just being a business owner, he's a business coach as well. And so if you are aspiring to start a business, or you're already in a business and you want to find ways to move your business forward, this is the man right here. And one of the goals of transformational coaching for millennial leaders is to be a clearinghouse for coaches. So while I coach, I do a lot of transformational coaching that has to do primarily with helping you discover yourself, helping you discover your purpose, finding clarity about your identity, and things of that nature, so that you can step into your purpose, your calling, and your destiny. But Drew's niche is really all about that business, and like he has in the background, digital nomad, and he's a travel vlogger as well. You just wear so many different hats. I love following you. So, all right, well, Drew, there's just so much to say. One more thing I want to say. Some of you might have wondered, well, okay, Vi, your group is called Transformational Coaching for Millennial Leaders. And you are a leader for sure. I am a leader, but you might be wondering about that millennial part, because I'm not a millennial, obviously. I'm on the cusp there. I'm close. I'm not too far gone. But you might be wondering, well, why would I choose to start a Facebook group specifically for this group of people? And that's not to say that anybody that's, Gen Z or older than me is excluded, but my heartbeat is really millennials. And and that's it. I just have a heartbeat, and it is a God-given thing for this young man's generation. And I feel a call on my life to really come alongside millennials and support them, encourage them, and hold them accountable, hold their feet to the fire to be everything that they're created to be. And so that's where that's why this group is for millennial leaders, in case you're wondering. Okay, so let's get with it, Drew. So first of all, I think there are a lot of millennials and people in general who are in the midst of transition right now. We are somewhere in the midst of a pandemic. I don't know, beginning, in, middle, I don't know where we are, but there's a lot going on. There's this great reshuffle in the works, right? And there's also, on the positive side, it feels like the gold rush of the 1800s to me too. So there's a whole lot going on, right? So you used to work a 9 to 5, the traditional, job, and then you made a decision to jump off a cliff and launch your own business. And I would love for you to just share with our audience what that process of transformation was like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said it right. Jumping off a cliff is exactly what I did and exactly what it felt like. Did not feel natural whatsoever, but I'm a college dropout. I got a couple semesters under my belt and realized that college was not for me. School was not for me. Traditional education was not for me. Jim Rohn has a quote that says, public education. Oh goodness, now I'm going blank on this quote. Traditional education. Of course, it's fleeting to me right now, but ultimately the idea is that self-education is the only way to truly be able to grasp the ability to really think for yourself, think yourself into situations, out of situations. And so just due to the fact that I was not a test taker growing up, I wasn't good at cramming and keeping knowledge for a short period of time. After going to college for a little bit, I just knew that I was probably going to be better off and have a little bit more success in life if I would just get started in the working world. And so that's what I did. Is I from the day I turned 16 until I moved up here to Kansas City when I was 19, I was working pretty much every day of my life. And so I finally got my official, big boy job in Kansas City, working for, corporate America type gig, 8 to 5, hour for lunch, smoke breaks only if you're a smoker, all that kind of stuff. And, I saw it as a challenge. I was the youngest, person they'd ever hired for this type of sales position, and also the only one that did not have a college degree. God was just in that, interview room and just opened the door for me to get started in a position that, it was essentially glorified phone sales, long story short, but they still had different requirements such as, MBA or a college degree. And so, God opened doors to allow me in there, and, me coming in as a, Web Honeyers 19-year-old, I came at it just feeling like I had to prove myself. And for a while, that challenge was rewarding. It was rewarding enough to just keep going. By my third year there, at about 22 years old, about 22 or maybe going on 23, I made my first 6 figures, in the sales position. And, at that point in time, to be honest, that type of pay was good enough to keep me from really thinking about ever doing anything else. Mm-hmm. I had always had dreams as I was younger about owning a business and, fulfilling some of these dreams of traveling the world and, checking out these other cultures. I think, a lot of people have those dreams. But at that point in time, I was getting paid enough to forget those dreams. And it wasn't until year 4 where, I was always top 5% of the company, just worked my tail off to do it, 120 calls a day, just to get sales all day long. And And yeah, it was at the end of year 4 where I had actually brought in, probably an extra 20%, 25% more business than the previous year. But I was making less than I made the year before
Mm.
because, the board members, they had to keep changing commission structure in order to, allow the higher ups to make more money. So us guys on the front lines on the sales floor, we had to make less for them to make more. And that's when I realized that there is absolutely no loyalty in corporate America.
Mm.
I realized that no matter how many attaboys I got in great months or whatever it was, there's no loyalty. It all comes down to a dollar. And therefore I could not assume that I had a long-term future when the average 9 to 5 employee, corporate America employee, stays at a job 2.73 years,
Wow.
before they switch over to a new one. So learning about all this, and this was over the years where I was heavily investing in myself, personal development, trying to figure out what do I want to do next, reading self-help books and leadership books, you name it, trying to get myself out of my homeschool introvert box, that I grew up in. And so that is when, after year 4, when I saw that there was no loyalty, I was like, you know what? If this is going to keep getting worse as I continue to do more and more, then I might as well do something that I enjoy, or at least work for myself.
Mhm.
And so I started, picking up more books, and that led me to a book by a guy named Tim Ferriss, one of my favorite authors, he thinks differently, very self-educated kind of guy. He thinks differently, and his name is Tim Ferriss. He wrote a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. And the 4-Hour Work Week was all about automation, business systems, hiring virtual assistants to do jobs so that you weren't always doing the busy work. And that book changed my mindset completely.
Mm.
Helped me realize that as long as I've got people around me that are smarter than me, then I don't have to be the genius. I can build together good teams that that are doing a great job and can fill in the gaps. And yeah, in the beginning, maybe I make less, but overall it would allow me more time, right? We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but if you don't find a way to compound your efforts by finding the right people in the right positions, then you'll be in the same position forever. And so yeah, that's really when I made that transition. I read that book and I was like, okay, well, I know I want to get out of here. And so at that point I just had to figure out how.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I hope you guys are catching this. That was powerful, Drew. I mean, I knew bits and pieces of your story before, but and to have that wisdom at that young age, at 22, and to have the vision and the understanding of how to move forward is like you were just being led into your destiny. That's so cool. So how can a person who's in that place of, okay, I've been working this job and I know there's more, but I'm not really sure how to get started. I think you just laid it out right there, but just to kind of reiterate, for someone who wants to transition, who wants to redefine themselves, and they find themselves in the midst of these uncertain times, what would
Yeah.
you say to them?
With my students, one thing I'll always ask them is, or well, what we'll do is we'll get them to start to dream again,
Mm.
right? A job is a salary that they pay you in order for you to forget your dreams.
Mm.
And I'm not saying all jobs are bad and nothing like that, but at the same time, we've all got a massive calling on our life. We all have passions, and we all at one point in time thought about the future, what we would be doing, the people we would surround ourselves with, the places we would visit, and the things that we would be doing. And unfortunately, due to circumstance, that usually leads people, once they forget about those things, it leads them into the most convenient place, or
Wow.
wherever they're making the money that allows them to survive. And I think that we have, every single person, doesn't matter who at all, as long as you are able and willing, you can essentially create or build the life that you want, right? Obviously, God willing, that it's in that plan. But I think that we all have dreams, goals, and desires that are deep inside of our heart. Closer we get to the Lord, he starts to reveal these things. And I started realizing that, okay, maybe I actually am meant for more than just an 8 to 5 job. And once again, that is nothing against 8 to 5s, but in my heart, I just had a desire for more. And I know that a lot of people who are watching this do as well. So as long as you can dream again, it's going to open up, the ability of your mind to start fathoming what are some of the things that I can do. What do I enjoy doing? If someone were, this is also another question I ask my students is, if someone were to grab a mic and say, hey, our speaker just left, they're not gonna be able to speak, and they give you a microphone and they say, just go up on there and talk up for an hour, talk about anything you want. What is the thing that you could talk about for an hour, just off the top of your head? And usually that's the thing where you can truly help people. That's the niche. That is the concept. That is the way that you can help a lot of people.
Ooh, that was rich, rich, rich. That I love that. And I want you to just say what you said. You said a job is what they pay you to forget your dreams, or something close to that.
Yeah. A job is the salary they pay you to forget your dreams.
Did you guys catch that? I hope you. A job is the salary they pay you to forget your dreams. Oof. That right there just really, really resonates. Because
it's heavy.
Yeah,
but
that is heavy.
But people need to really assess their situation too, because I think, and I'm real quick, I'll just gonna go on a small tangent, but as mentioned, I'm a big reader. One of the books I've read probably 3, maybe 4 times now is a book by Napoleon Hill. He's also the one who wrote Think and Grow Rich, which, be careful if you're reading that book. There's a lot of garbage in it, a lot of new agey type stuff in it. But he wrote another book called Outwitting the Devil. And in that book, he has a conversation with essentially a demon who talks about what they do. It's very much like screw tape letters, right? What are these demon or devils? What are they going to do in order to get you to never get to your potential? Wow. And the one thing he mentions multiple times is this state of being, this state of mind that he calls hypnotic rhythm. And that is where you are no longer a threat. You're not doing anything for the kingdom. You're not changing the world. You're not helping a ton of people. You are just living in a hypnotic rhythm where you are just, low theta brainwaves. Nothing is happening. You're not living up to your God-given potential. And if the enemy can get you to that state of being, then you are no longer a threat to his kingdom. And so, I just say all that to get people to kind of pull themselves out of their situation. If they realize like, wow, you know what? This is not actually what I always envisioned, dreaming or doing in the future, then it's time to reassess. As long as you still got breath in your lungs, then you can live a completely different life, one that actually sets your soul on fire.
Wow, I'm inspired. I am like so fired up right now. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to go back and re-listen to this. I'm so glad it's transcribing. So anybody that wants to watch, I would encourage you to watch the replay of this and let this really sink in, because I know this is coming at us, in real time, but what Drew is dropping, right? I mean, he's dropping bombs right here, like fire bombs. I'm like, fire in the hole. Wow. So can you share maybe like someone that you've actually coached where you saw them go through kind of a transformation and be able to step into who they were created to be, like maybe just one of your clients that you've worked with?
Absolutely. Obviously there's a handful of clients that come to mind. One in particular I'll speak of is a young gentleman. I wish I would have, had that type of mindset when I was his age. Yes, it was young, but I mean, he's, barely past 20s.
Wow.
And, but I had already kind of got to that stage where I was, as far as like, okay, I'm doing something I don't love. Yes, I get to do it for myself, but it's not technically my business. And just realized that if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so we got to really dig deep. We got to really figure out what his passions were, how he wanted to help people. and essentially turn that into a full-blown business where we got to take out some of his expertise, right? And once again, it's usually that thing that you can talk about for an hour without stopping. And for him, his thing was fitness. And he just knew a ton about fitness, ton about nutrition, all of these things. And all we did was we just took his existing knowledge, made it into a what they call a value stack, or a big offer where it's not just one thing, but it's multiple items that provide a ton of value to the end user, and sold that as a program. So to the point where that is what he's doing full time now. So we're just seeing all sorts of transformations, and it just that's the benefit of having a coach. How much longer would it have taken him to get to that point if he didn't have someone who had already been there, done that, to kind of help guide him along the way? And as coaches, we don't tell anybody to do anything,
Right.
but what we can do is ask the right questions to really get to the heart of what they want to do, who they want to be, and how they want to impact the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for sharing that, because I know that there are people that are listening that have a coach already. And, there's obviously lots of different niches. So you might have a health coach, a relationship coach, a business coach, what have you. Drew's specialty is business. He's not, exclusively a business coach, but that is definitely his strength and his specialty. But some of you may not have ever even thought about coaching until this live before, and so this is a really good introduction into how can a coach help you? How can a coach help you discover more of who you are, what it is that you desire to do, and then, like I love to say, get traction to take action, because coaching is really not just about the self-discovery process, but turning those insights and that learning and that knowledge that you gain with that coach, right, into real-time action and results. Yeah.
Yes.
Real-time action and real results. So that's amazing. Wow. Do you have, Drew, just any words that you would share with somebody that maybe, I don't want to use the word fear, but like is hesitant? That's the word. That's reluctant, that's hesitant to even, begin to dream again, maybe they're in that place that you were once in, where the money has them kind of anesthetized, and, I'm making good pay, and everything is okay right now. Or they might be in a place where I just lost my job, or I've been laid off because of the pandemic, or what have you. But what words would you encourage us with this evening? Like if they find themselves in that place of, just pain.
Yeah, place of limbo or stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
There's really, kind of two answers to that. Is you've got the person, two individuals in this rut, right? Stagnation, nothing's really churning, right? But one of those people can be living in hypnotic rhythm, where they don't even realize they're in a rut.
Mm-hmm.
And that is unfortunately not somebody that I can help, because you cannot unplug somebody from the matrix. You can't force them to take the red pill. You can't force them to look at their situation any differently than where they're currently at.
Right.
And so those are not the individuals that I'd look to help. I'm looking at someone who is able to truly look inward, look at their situation and say, it's okay, but it's not going to be okay forever. And that's someone who is actually willing to change. They're actually willing to, to go for it, to just try things, right? And there's no such thing as failure if you never quit. So they've also got to have that no quit attitude. If I'm working with somebody, but they're just quit after quit, and then maybe start back up, yada yada, that's also not somebody that I can help. You need someone that's going to push through, do the things that are hard in order to get the end result that they're looking for. Because if they're not in that space and they're not willing to sacrifice something, then there's not really much to gain.
Right, right. That's really, really good. And there's just really no better time, I think, than now to
Mhm.
bet on yourself. And I just want to encourage
Yeah.
whoever is listening and whoever will be listening in the future to this. This is the time, if there ever were one, to really bet on yourself, really, believe in yourself that you can have that life that you desire. And I feel like there's just this great appetite for change in the atmosphere right now. And so if you've even been thinking about it, I really want to just encourage you. And again, your life journey is not meant to be traveled alone. I posted just yesterday, I think it was, a picture on my Facebook page of when I was in Arizona. Actually, I had a chance to climb Cathedral Rock. And if you look at the picture, you'll see, like, I got to this point on this rock. I say rock, but it's like this huge mountain of a rock. And we're climbing up this thing, but I get to this point where it's literally like straight up and down. Like, and I don't really see like where to hold on, I mean, it's just, I'm not seeing it. And of course, there's this measure of adrenaline flowing that's probably keeping me from being able to see it, right? I don't want to use the F word, but there is definitely a lot of adrenaline happening right there. And so I'm just like standing there and I'm telling myself, okay, don't look back, don't look down, just, let's think about this. And out of the nowhere, these two precious women they were on their way down from this rock, and I didn't even see them coming, but they just were there in front of me, above me, and they reached their hand, and I thought they were reaching their hands down like for me to help them down, because I was on at least my feet were firmly planted on something. And they were actually reaching out to help me up. And it was
Amen.
just this moment where I heard, and for those of you that hear us referring to God, or we both happen to be followers of Jesus. We're not here to shove that down your throat, but so that's what the references are about. But I heard the Holy Spirit say to my spirit, I never intended for you to do life alone.
That's good.
It was never my intention for you to do life alone. And I just want to say that to those of you that are listening, you do not have to do this transformation journey alone. You don't have to do your life journey alone. And I know there are a lot of people, that feel like, okay, I would love to start something new, but I don't have anybody to help me, right?
Mhm.
Well, now you do. You've got Drew and a plethora of other coaches that I'm excited to introduce you to, with all different niches and all different specialties and expertise. And I just really want to encourage you to really, really think about, who am I? What is it that I want out of life? Where do I want to go with my life? And how can I get there? What's the best way for me to get there? So we're doing really well here, Drew. Any closing words before I have you share how people can get in touch with you that you'd like to share?
Man, really just, closing words. Once again, thank you so much for having me on. It's always awesome to speak to different audiences and just pour into people. Um, you know, I believe everybody is called to do that. Just like those women reached their hand down and helped you up. Maybe you're in a season of life where you need somebody to help you up. That's amazing, and it's amazing that there's people like you, Viola, who are there reaching down to help other people up. But that's not forever. You're not always going to be the one reaching your hand up. Eventually, you can be the person reaching your hand down and actually really changing lives, really pouring into people, really like transform people from the inside out. And it really comes down to your God-given potential. Everybody has so much, but unfortunately, if you look at the 80-20 rule, 80% of people will never tap into that potential.
Yeah.
20% might, but usually it's about 4% of individuals actually tap into their potential.
Wow.
And so I think potential comes from identity. When you realize that you were created for something way bigger than you, and it's not actually about you, and you take your eyes off of yourself and you put them on the rest of the people in the world that actually need help, that's when things change. When you're focused on yourself, this is your world. It's just you. But when you get out of your way and you look at the world, now you can change the whole thing.
Mm,
So that's what I encourage people to do, take their eyes off themselves, look at others, and then, ask God how he wants to help them.
that's it, Drew. And my purpose is to transform leaders into prospering influencers. And we haven't talked specifically about wealth, but it's just understood that in order to be able to really help others in the way that you're helping others, getting wealth is definitely part of that puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And fortunately, but unfortunately, the money, the world is ran on money, and you can do really good things or really bad things with money. But
Mhm.
I think that if you're able to help people and, you're able to give on command and you can meet a need as soon as it's required, I think there is, a big piece of the kingdom that people are set apart for to do those sort of things. And some people it's going to be emotionally,
Mhm.
helping them meet that need. Some people it'll be financially. Some people it's going to be relationally.
Right.
And so, everybody has kind of their specialty, things that, they were created to have a little bit of extra in. And that is essentially how they can pour those little things into other people.
Mhm. That is awesome. So tell people how they can get in touch with you, please.
Absolutely. So you guys can obviously reach out to me on all social channels. You could find me on Instagram. It's at Drew T. Taylor. So there's two T's in there. Drew T. Taylor, Taylor. You can hit my link tree, which is just drewttaylor.com. And that's going to give you all of my social sites, all the other links, any other way that you want to connect with me. And there's even a calendar link if you ever have a question or you just want to have a little quick strategy call just to ask questions as far as what your next step should be.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Drew. Before we go, because we do have a little bit of time, I want us to share our story um, of our 44 story.
44. Is this code? Which 44?
The $44 story.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Amazing story. And I will leave, I'll just leave names out of this, but it was just an awesome testimony, between Viola and I. I do stuff in some of the financial markets and I help individuals get set up in and learn how to trade or leverage automated software to trade the Forex market. And so there was a gal from my Bible study actually, who we had just gotten her set up. She was having issues getting money into her account. And I said, hey, how about you just PayPal me and I will put the money in there myself. And then we'll just, swap it out. But she lives in a country that is not the US. And so PayPal takes ridiculous fees out of that, out of those, transfers. And so, long story short, I did the transfer for her and I was thinking like, well, maybe I should tell her, like for me, I'd be like, you didn't tell me, like, I want to pay you. Right. But I just felt the Lord tell me, just go ahead and cover the fees for her. And it was way more than I expected. Something like 4.4% or something in fees. And so I just, I was just obedient. I went ahead and transferred the whole thing. I just ate the fees, just because I wanted her to get off to a great start. And I wasn't worried about it. I just, God's always got us and we could trust that. And so literally, I think it was 2 or 3 days go by. I'm talking to Viola. We're just chatting about coaching and just catching up on everything. And then out of nowhere, she says, do you have Venmo or Cash App or something? I was like, yeah, why? She's like, well, I was just blessed the other day and I want to pass the blessing on to you because you've helped me so much. And I was like, oh, you don't have to do that. And she's like, no, I need to. And I said, okay, done deal. Yeah, here it is. I sent her my, my Cash App, and not even realizing it, I sent it over, or she sent it over, and I received it, and I was like, okay, $44. Didn't think a thing of it. But then boom, all of a sudden the spirit just jogged my memory, like, isn't that about what you paid for in fees for that gal the other day? And I went back, I looked it up, I sent it to Viola. It was literally pretty much like exactly $44 in fees that I had paid for her. And so therefore I met a need, and then boom, God came and filled that need. So it is always more blessed to give than it is to receive. And that is what we're here for. We're not meant to be takers. The most depressed, sad, and unhealthy people are takers. The bigger of a giver you are, the happier, the healthier, and the wealthier you become. And I truly believe that.
Woo-hoo. And I just have to, that was our story, man. That was just one of those moments, right?
Boom. Yeah.
It was crazy, but what was crazy was, there is a woman, I won't name her name, but she knows how much I love her. And if you're watching right now, or you're watching by replay, I just want to say I love you. I don't know her, have never met her. We only have met virtually, and not even really met. It's one of those people that you're in a mutual group and you say hi, or you give a like or a heart. And that's like really the extent of our connection, our relationship. And one day, out of the literally clear blue sky, this precious woman just inboxes me and says, hey, I just feel like I'm supposed to bless you. And I'm just like, what do you say? You can't tell somebody no, right? So, but I mean, and with no reason or rhyme to it. And so I'm like, well, wow, thank you. So I send her my information, and a few days later, she sends me $44. And 44 has a significant meaning for me, and it has to do with the glory of the Lord, and it's related to Ezekiel 44:4, and it's been that way for like 10 years. And so whenever I see 44, like all my bells and whistles just are, on high alert, in a good way, in a really good way. And so I messaged her back and I said, is there any particular reason why you sent me $44? I just wanted to know what her, if she had and she said, no, that's just what I heard. And I was like, well, okay, thank you so much. And, and so then I immediately felt like, okay, this is not for me to keep. I'm supposed to pass this on. So literally like 4 or 5 days go by, and I'm specifically asking my papa, like, where does this go? And then and he usually is pretty quick to respond to me, but I'm like not hearing anything, which for me, I was at the back of the line when they were handing out patients. So that's probably like, oh, and so, but I knew, I was like, I'm not going to touch it until I know where it's supposed to go. And so it was July 4th, if I'm not mistaken, that I
right around there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was July 4th that I messaged you. And as you were talking, it just came. I was like, oh my gosh, this is where the money goes. This is who I'm supposed to give this to. And it was just this knowing. And so, because I had even started questioning, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I am supposed to keep it, or maybe I'm supposed to pay a bill with it, but I wasn't going to let it go until I knew that I knew where it belonged. And then when I started talking to you, I was like, this is where that belongs. And then when I told him, and he had a moment, and he sent me the receipt from PayPal or whoever it was, and it was like literally $44. I was just like, wow.
Incredible.
Better to give than to receive, Drew. And thank you so much for giving to us tonight in such a significant way. I really encourage you to go back and watch this again and write down. So I'm going to do that. I was busy trying to focus and listen, so I couldn't take notes like I like to, but I'm definitely going to go back and take notes, because you shared some really timeless wisdom, and I think some right now wisdom for some people. And even for some of you that are listening, I think even Drew's words might be exactly what you were looking for, or those of you that will be listening, you've been wondering, okay, how do I get unstuck? How do I get out of this rut that I feel like I'm in? How do I move forward? And I think he's giving you some timeless wisdom right here to get you started. So thank you a million times. Thank you for being here. I want to just say, if you are a leader again, and you would like to join TCML to Transformational Coaching for Millennial Leaders, please type leader in the comments. We are, in the comments, and I will get back with you right away. We are cultivating a community of world changers, of people that want to make a difference in their world. And we're also going to begin on October 12th, something called the Transformational Table. I am so excited about this. We're going to cover 6 values. One of the things that we do in coaching is help people discover, like we talked about, who they are, what their identity is. And a huge part of that is the things that you value, the things that are most important to you, that literally drive your daily behaviors. And most of us aren't even cognizant or conscientious of what our values really are, but they literally they lead us in our daily life. And so we're going to go through 6 powerful weeks. It's going to go by super fast, but it's going to be really powerful. So you're invited to join the group and get involved in that. If you are in a time of transition and you want to reach out to Drew, and especially if you're interested in any type of business at all, he's the guy to go to. You're welcome to reach out to me as well. Just type coach in the comments. And don't forget, if you type coach, you're going to get a free resource called How to Recognize the Best Coach for You, which is my personal top 10 qualities of what to look for in a coach. Okay. And thank you so much. This has just been really, really awesome, Drew. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you again. It has been great. So thank you for the time tonight.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.